A historic moment for the Middle East. President Trump in Egypt to sign the Gaza peace deal. We'll bring you highlights from the event. National Museum services shuttered over the weekend as we enter the third week of a government shutdown. And the president says more Democrat-focused layoffs are coming down the pike. A powerful nor'easter pummels the East Coast. The storm has left thousands without power in New York's tri-state area. President Trump addressed Israel's parliament, the Knesset, earlier today. NTD's Daniel Monahan has key takeaways from the president's speech, plus news on the release of hostages.
President Trump was given a standing ovation by Israeli MPs as he entered the Knesset on Monday. People in the Knesset could be seen wearing hats reading, "Trump, the Peace President." Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu welcomed Trump and thanked him for his leadership, describing it as pivotal.
In putting forward a proposal that got the backing of almost the entire world. A proposal that brings all our hostages home.
The President of the United States of America.
Trump was warmly received again as he prepared to speak, as the crowd of lawmakers broke into rhythmic clapping. Trump conveyed his deep appreciation for Arab and Muslim nations that came together to press Hamas to set the hostages free.
We had a lot of help. We had a lot of help from a lot of people that you wouldn't suspect, and I want to thank them very much for that. It's an incredible triumph for Israel and the world to have all of these nations working together as partners in peace.
Trump said generations from now, this will be remembered as the moment that everything began to change for the better.
Like the USA right now, it will be the golden age of Israel and the golden age of the Middle East.
President Trump shared an optimistic vision of the region, calling it the historic dawn of a new Middle East.
This is not only the end of a war, this is the end of an age of terror and death and the beginning of the age of faith and hope and of God. After 2 harrowing years in darkness and captivity, 20 courageous hostages are returning to the glorious embrace of their families, and it is glorious.
Trump says across the Middle East, the forces of chaos, terror, and ruin that have plagued the region for decades now stand weakened, defeated.
A new coalition of proud and responsible nations is emerging, and because of us, the enemies of all civilization are in retreat.
The president paid homage to what he called the bravery and incredible skill of the Israeli Defense Forces and Operation Rising Lion.
Great job, and my people loved working with you.
Hamas released all 20 remaining living hostages held in Gaza today, while Israel began releasing hundreds of Palestinian prisoners as part of a ceasefire to end 2 years of war. Families and friends of the hostages gathered in a square in Tel Aviv and cried out with joy and relief as news arrived that the captives were free. The crowds were heard chanting, "Thank you, Trump," as the first convoy carrying Israeli hostages crossed over into Israeli territory. The hostages, all men, where they will reunite with family and undergo medical checks. Israel's army released still photographs of hostages released today. Red Cross vehicles carrying a second group of Israeli hostages were seen leaving Khan Yunis in the Gaza Strip, heading towards Israel. The bodies of the remaining 28 dead hostages are also expected to be handed over as part of the deal, although the exact timing remained unclear. Meanwhile, 2 buses carrying Palestinian prisoners released from the Israeli prisons arrived in Ramallah today as part of the U.S.-brokered ceasefire deal. Daniel Monahan, NTD News.
Great report there from Daniel. Now, in his speech to the Knesset, President Donald Trump also called on President Isaac Herzog to pardon Prime Minister Netanyahu of Israel. Here's a clip.
Mr. President, why don't you give him a pardon? Give him a pardon. Come on. That was not in the speech, as you probably know. But I happen to like this gentleman right over here, and it just seems to make so much sense. You know, whether we like it or not, this has been one of the greatest wartime presidents. This has been one of the greatest wartime presidents. And cigars and champagne, who the hell cares about that?
Netanyahu is currently on trial on corruption charges. He's accused of fraud and breach of trust over the alleged acceptance of luxury gifts. Trump previously demanded the end of Netanyahu's trial in a social media post. Trump also said the U.S. is prepared to make a deal with Iran when Tehran is ready. Earlier this year, Tehran and Washington held 5 rounds of nuclear talks. That was before the 12-day war in June, which the U.S. joined by striking key Iranian nuclear sites. The talks faced major stumbling blocks, such as the issue of uranium enrichment on Iranian soil. Western powers want to bring that down to zero, but Tehran rejected that plan. Trump said this morning the hand of friendship and cooperation is open, adding, quote, "It would be great if we could make a deal." And with the release of the Israeli hostages, the mother of a deceased hostage says she's filled with uncertainty and a sense of envy. Here's her story.
With Hamas releasing the final living Israeli hostages under a Gaza ceasefire deal on Monday, the families of deceased hostages are filled with a sense of envy.
I definitely know every family, and I'm deeply emotional with the families. It's definitely moving. But there's no doubt there's a small envy. And I can't even call it a writer's envy, because I can't put it into words. But it's envy that comes from a natural place, not a cynical one. That we could have been in that place too, and received Tamir back in a hug.
That's Yael Adar, mother of 38-year-old hostage Tamir Adar, whose body has been in Gaza since his death on October 7, 2023. Monday's developments are a major step towards ending 2 years of shattering war in Gaza. Unlike the families being reunited with their loved ones on Monday, Adar's family is among those waiting to see if their loved one's body can be located. Hamas has indicated that recovering the bodies of the dead may take longer than releasing those who are alive.
This is a journey that perhaps ends one uncertainty and gives us another kind of certainty. And we will begin a new journey of mourning, of loss, of pain. There will be a funeral, and we will mourn and mourn until we feel we can rise and rebuild again.
Adar's children are struggling to comprehend their father's death, she says.
And of course, when there's talk of released hostages, it always comes up again. When will Dad come back? When is Dad coming home? I'm not sure how much they understand that when Dad comes back, it's not something you can actually see and recognize as Dad. That's something we haven't touched yet, and we'll manage to face it. When Tamir is returned after 2 years, there are no eyes to look into or lips to kiss. It's something else entirely, something that cannot be seen.
And popular D.C. tourist attractions closed over the weekend as the government shutdown enters its 3rd week here in the U.S. Vice President Vance talks about waste and fraud within the healthcare program that Democrats want to extend, making future negotiations more tricky, he says. NTD's Melina Weiskup reports on that.
Washington, D.C.'s National Zoo, along with 19 museums and research centers, closed their doors on Sunday. They've run out of funds to keep operations going smoothly. The administration has started mass firings for federal employees. A court filing states that over 4,000 employees would be fired, noting that the situation is rapidly evolving. President Trump previously said cuts will target Democrat priorities.
We'll be cutting some very popular Democrat programs that aren't popular with Republicans, frankly, because that's the way it works. They wanted to do this, so we'll give them a little taste of their own medicine.
The president over the weekend directed the Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, to use all means to ensure troops are paid this week. He urged Democrats to first vote to reopen the government. Then, he says, we can work together to address health care and many other things that they want to destroy.
There are some Democrats who I think are reasonable enough to know this is not a sustainable position for them, who are looking for a way to get something in this conversation that would enable them to have the issue that they say they care about here addressed.
Most Democrats, however, remain unwavering in their stance that health care negotiations come before reopening. Senator Mark Kelly said a simple vote to extend Obamacare subsidies wouldn't even be enough to secure his vote.
These are not easy decisions, but we can work this out together. The administration seems to want the same thing. They want the government open. The president said he wants to solve this healthcare issue. If we all agree upon that, let's just do it at the same time.
While Republicans and the president are open to health care discussions, Vice President J.D. Vance on Sunday said the fraud and waste must be rooted out. He said he wants to make sure tax credits go to people who need them. Senators will return to Washington on Tuesday. Reporting from Washington, D.C., Melina Weisskopf, NTD News.
And thanks to Melina for that report. A nor'easter storm has left thousands without power in the tri-state area. That's New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut. On the rest of the East Coast, forecasters warned of major coastal flooding in the mid-Atlantic, particularly from Virginia to New Jersey. New Jersey was under a state of emergency, while New York Governor Kathy Hochul declared an emergency for 8 counties. The Columbus Day Parade in New York City was canceled. In Delaware, emergency management officials activated the National Guard in response to rising floodwaters and harsh winds. The National Weather Service said flooding was expected to peak this afternoon and improve into Tuesday morning. Wind gusts exceeding 55 miles per hour remained possible along New Jersey, Long Island, and southern New England. Breaking news now. President Trump in Egypt attending the signing ceremony of the ceasefire and hostage deal between Israel and Hamas. You see it there live. Let's tune in.
Situation of bodies, which was always a sad situation, and they're being sought out, and they're working with many different people, finding some were brought in and some were not, and they're working out to find out where those bodies are. It's hard to believe that you even have to say something like that. It's so sad. It's so sad. But what's not sad is that we have finally, after, I guess they say 3,000 years, I've heard from 3,000 years to 500 years, but whatever it is, it's a lot. But this was the one, this was the granddaddy of them all, and frankly, I thought this was probably going to be the toughest, and maybe in many ways it was, but we had a lot of good talent. Steve Witkoff, Jared, and Marco, and Pete, and General Kane was so great. John Ratcliffe was incredible. We had an amazing array of talent, and we were helped by, in particular, the countries represented at this table. I will say, Tamim, you were fantastic, and your country is unbelievable, and I don't think they give you a fair shake. They talk about you as though you're not a nice person, and you happen to be a nice person. You happen to live in a little tough neighborhood. You're surrounded by everybody. And without you, this wouldn't have happened. And I just want to thank you very much. That's Qatar. And he's a great man. He's an amazing leader. And another man who's been a friend of mine for a long time. I don't know what it is. I like the tough people better than I like the soft, easy ones. I don't know what the hell that is. It's a personality problem, I suspect. But this gentleman from a place called Turkey has one of the most powerful armies actually in the world. It's much more powerful than he even lets known. If you look at some of the recent conflicts, he was at the top of them, and he was winning them, and he did win them. And he doesn't want any credits. He doesn't want anything. He just wants to be left alone. He's a tough cookie, but he's been my friend. And every time I've ever needed him, he's been there for me. So I just want to thank President Erdogan, Turkey. And NATO has a problem with him because he is difficult. They call me. They said, would you do me a favor? Could you speak to Erdogan? And I do, and he never fails us. Right, General? He never fails. He's amazing. So I just want to thank you for the friendship. It's good. Thank you very much. And then, of course, we have the host tonight, and I just want to thank you very much. It was a reason we chose Egypt, because you were very helpful. And very, very helpful. Everybody wanted to have this, but we really thought it was appropriate. And you are a great leader. We have very little crime. We have problems that other countries don't have. And of course, nothing's perfect, but the job you do is amazing, and I want to thank you. Another one, we've been my friend right from the beginning. During the campaign against crooked Hillary Clinton, have you heard of her? We were both downstairs waiting to go up to meet this gentleman who has a place called Egypt, the oldest civilization. They say 6,000 years. China's 5,000 years, but you're actually number one. 6,000 years, can you believe it? But the oldest, they say, civilization. But So I went up to meet him first, and we liked each other so much that she waited for about an hour and a half. And I think your meeting lasted about 2 minutes with her. So I always remembered that. But that was our first meeting. We had great chemistry together. And he's a fantastic man and a fantastic general, by the way. But he's a great president. And I want to thank Egypt and all of your representatives for treating us all so well. So we're going to be signing, we're really representative of a whole group of nations, and they're sitting behind us, and you know most of them. I can tell you this guy's got so much money. They all have so much money. There's more money and power sitting behind us. I love that they're behind us. We've never been sitting behind anybody before. This is a very unique position for them, but they are seriously, they're among the most powerful countries in the world, the richest countries in the world, and there's never been really an assemblage like what we have today. I don't think I've never seen it anyway. And I want to thank everybody for being with us. I just solved the war for him. Azerbaijan. Oh, did I do a good job? Where did you come picture here? Where is there he is? You guys are still getting along, right? We fought for 32 years, and about 1 hour we settled it, right? And they like each other now, too. It's good. That's great. Well, I want to thank everybody for being here with Italy. She's a very strong ruler. She's doing a great job. You're doing a great job. Thank you very much. So many, but we're actually going to be making a speech after this, so this is just a very important signing, but we're doing a signing, then we're doing a speech. And then I may stay behind with the leaders just to talk about that, some things. I want to thank the media for you've been so respectful on this deal. You know the importance of the deal, and I really, it was so pleasant to watch. I was on the plane for quite a while listening to the various newscasts, and they were all fair. They were talking about how incredible this is. This is an incredible day for the world, let alone the Middle East. So I just wanted to thank the media. They really treated it with respect. I wish you could be like that on other things, but that's perhaps too much to ask for. But on this, tremendous, everybody feels the same. Just tremendous respect, and we appreciate it very much. Can we get the documents, please? Okay.
We will sign right here.
Okay. Okay. This took 3,000 years to get to this point. Can you believe it? And it's going to hold up, too. It's going to hold up. Okay, thank you. You can use my pen if you want. Have a pen? Want to use mine? Okay. 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 Okay.
You can hold it up for
Okay, fine. I think we're going to hold it up. I don't hold up the signature page, yeah. So we're going to go and I'm going to say a few words. We'll give you a little speech, and then we're going to meet with the leaders after that and spend a little time together without the media. The media is invited to the speech. I just want to tell you the people behind me and some of the people in the room that are so helpful, but the people behind me are the greatest leaders, most powerful leaders, the richest leaders, frankly. Sometimes it's not politically correct to say that, but I'll say it, the richest in the world that the world has ever seen. And yet when you get to know them, I know every one of them in their own way, and I can say in particular some, because that's the way life works, but some of the greatest people you'll ever meet, and people that really care for their countries. And why this happened is they all came together and they wanted to get Gaza straightened out. They wanted to get the whole thing straightened out. It got to a point where it was just crazy. And once they got together and once we started talking, it went really, Tamim, it went smoothly. It went so smoothly. You were such a big help, but it went so smoothly that nobody can even believe it, that we're sitting here and getting this all certified out and all done. And everybody's happy about it. Everybody's happy about it, like I've never seen before, actually. I've done other deals and people don't care as much. Big deals, I think they're big deals, but this is something that's taken off like a rocket ship. And it did from the beginning, and I've heard for years, this is the biggest deal, it'll never happen. For years, long before I ran for office, that this is the Middle East. It's the biggest, most complicated deal, and also it's the place that could lead to tremendous problems like World War III. They always talked about World War III would start in the Middle East, and that's not going to happen. We don't want it to start anywhere, actually, but it's not going to happen. So I just want to thank everybody, and I'll see you in a little while. And in particular, thank you all. Thank you, Tamim. Mr. General, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Great job. Great job. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.
Okay, you're watching President Trump there in Egypt speaking at the Summit for Peace that followed the signing of Phase 1 of the peace deal between Israel and Hamas. Today, leaders from Egypt, Qatar, Turkey also signed on to that deal alongside Trump. The president thanking the supporting countries and saying he'll likely stay after the signing to continue meeting with leaders. President, we will certainly be keeping you updated on any developments there.